Married men of Reddit. What was that dumb thing you did during your dating phase that you can't believe your wife ended up overlooking? My uncle didn't call his now wife for over a year after they first met and he got her number. He kept the paper she wrote it on and ended up finding it and calling her asking if she still remembered him and was still interested in going on a date. Well, clearly it was meant to be. I didn't ask her for her number the first time we hung out, knowing I may never see her again. My brother got it and I later got it from him this year. How did your brother get her number? He asked her for it. I had gone to bed. I asked for it a few days later. Insisted that everything in San Francisco was walking distance from everything else, and decided we should walk from Pier 39 to Golden Gate Park. It is walkable, but not third date walkable, or whatever shoes she happened to be wearing that day walkable. As someone unfamiliar with San Francisco, I googled 5 miles apart, a 2-hour walk according to Google, and by the looks of it, a shit ton of hills. Google is giving me a warning I've never seen before that walking directions may not reflect real-world conditions. And it looks like the elevation changes back and forth a couple hundred feet more than once. San Francisco is notorious for having a city grid overlaid on a really hilly area. It's crazy steep and uphill, downhill even if Google Maps is showing a straight line walk along a straight street. I had just started a job working with her and her mom this year. Her mom and I did not get along. My move was, "What's up with that thick bitch?" She said, "Oh, I'll tell my mom you said hi." I was dead. But hey, here's we are married 16 years, so have your feelings about the mill changed? Please, we need answers. I didn't really do it, but I thought he would be weirded out anyways. Very first time he stayed at my house, we went to bed and he put his contacts in 2 shot glasses of water because he had no case with him this year. I don't know if that's a dumb thing to do. I've never worn them this year. Maybe we were drinking and that seemed like a good idea. Anyway, he had never had a pet and was kind of weirded out by my cat standing beside him and meowing at him all night. Woke up the next day to find out the cat drank all the water from the shot glasses, contacts included. I had to help him home because he is seriously blind without them this year. He still wanted to see me again even though the night was weird, and the cat became his best friend, despite some initial skepticism on both their parts. Edit. I just asked him why we put his contacts in water and he said it was contact solution from one of my roommates who had contacts but no spare case for him to borrow, so we used the shot glasses. Makes so much more sense, and Chucky was fine after drinking the solution, though we did call the vet. Totally forgot that part. Well, it was 17 years ago. No, putting water in contacts is quite bad and you should never do that. The salt content of water is entirely different from saline solution, and by extent entirely different from your eyes. And you don't want osmosis to fuck shit up due to different salt concentrations. So what you are saying is the cat saved him from blindness. That seems like a bro thing to do. On our first dinner date, my husband ordered a shit ton of food to show me his favorites at an Indian restaurant, and forgot his wallet at home, and only discovered doing so when the check had arrived. Cleared me out well over $100 and he was absolutely mortified. But we've been married for near 2 years, so my card got declined on the first lunch date we went on. The bill was less than $20. I was fucking mortified. 15 years married now. I was unemployed and on a waiting list to join the army. I didn't have any money to take her out, but I wanted to, so I sold the graphics card out of my computer. All I did every day was play computer games and work out while I was waiting. So I traded essentially my most prized possession for just a chance at some dates. To buy her a bowl of chili, more specifically. 10 years married. flicked a dime at her head. We were playing table football, not sure what I was thinking. She has a I kiss it every night before we go to bed. We are married and have 3 kids. I somehow totally understand this. When you get an urge to do something that seems mildly stupid and it turns out much worse in practice, but you already did it anyways. I had an extreme example of this happen. I was a tween and thought it'd be funny to kind of pretend trip a friend. He actually tripped and went through a glass table. I don't know what I was thinking, except I was just really relaxed and in a silly mood, and panic-filled adrenaline the next. We were taking a shower together and she was soaping up while I was under the hot water rinsing off. And she slipped, and instead of helping her, I pulled away, thinking for some reason that I'd already rinsed off and didn't want to get soapy. Thank God she caught herself on the shower curtain and didn't get hurt. She was, not happy. My explanation of my faulty thinking didn't help at all, either. We laugh about it now, but it took some serious smoothing over at the time. Oh yay, it's not like you were in the shower and can't just rinse again. Yep, she drove that point home. She was about to sneeze and she was sitting half on my lap, so I kind of thought she was gonna sneeze on me and IDK what I was thinking, but I put my hand up to block her sneeze, except I had a glass in my hand and I blocked her own hand from covering her sneeze, and instead she slammed her face into my glass. Married 6 years now, she still has all her teeth, so she sneezed in the glass, smashed her face into the side of it, lol. I felt so bad. Everything, just, really. Our first kiss is the one that sticks out in my mind. We kissed, and right as we kiss an air moves in my throat. Sounded like a burp, but it wasn't. It seemed like I burped right into her mouth and I was mortified. She now knows it wasn't a burp, but at the time, not so much. I'm such a lucky fool and had some big blunders early while learning who I am and who she is. I'm lucky someone so wonderful saw past the stupid young person I was. It wasn't until after we were married that my wife told me that I almost didn't get a second date because I talked way too much during the movie. I don't really remember it, but apparently I was leaning over every 30 seconds or so to tell her what I was thinking. Also, Valkyrie with Tom Cruise probably wasn't that great of a date movie, but it all worked out in the end. You did so much wrong and still didn't fare. First date with my wife. End of the night I went to kiss her on the cheek, being all sweet and shit. She thought I was leaning in for a hug and leaned in too. As she leaned in, I turned my head and instead of her cheek I kissed her neck. Turned super red and embarrassed, then goodbye, and almost pushed her out of the door at my apartment. I immediately texted her sorry as well, and she laughed. 3 years into marriage, she apparently didn't care. Better than I went in for a kiss and she turned her cheek, so I kissed her on the cheek goodnight. Next few dates I got too scared to try again. Eventually I straight up asked her, if I try again, will she turn away? She stood stunned for a minute and then accused me of turning my cheek when she went for the kiss. In summary, we spent 2 months in each other's friend zone because we thought the other didn't want a kiss. That's the best yet. The night I met my husband, he stared at me while I was sleeping for 4 hours straight. It's been 3 years. He still stares at me until I scold him for it. Then he waits until he thinks I won't notice and starts staring again. Person face bombing. I love him to the moon and back, even though he'd sure as hell stare at me the entire trip. My GF does this all the time. Although flattering, it's still pretty creepy to wake up to. I once had a girlfriend who liked to stroke my face lightly with her fingertips when I was sleeping. Sounds cute, but I always had a dream about spiders running across my face then. I think sometimes I screamed a little when waking up. I once spear tackled my then-girlfriend out of misplaced enthusiasm in high school. I was excited to see her and handled it as badly as was possible. It was in front of a bunch of our friends and I ended up knocking the wind out of her and making Her cry. That was about 17 years ago, and we're still together. I also licked my plate at a fancy restaurant because the salad dressing was so good. She still brings that one up every few years, so, basically you're a man pup. She was making dinner for me and asked where my hand mixer was. I handed her a spoon. A friend of mine just moved in with her girlfriend and told me that she didn't know so many kitchen appliances existed. She had an Xbox and staying the night. She woke up to me playing some arcadey hockey game and providing commentary of goal goal. Goal goal. Small goalie. My husband broke my thumb one night when we were slightly tipsy. Horseplay got too rough and I think he slammed my hand against something. We both heard the pop and I went to tears. Holy sh, that must have been one hell of an awkward night. Wife he. About 3 weeks into dating, my husband thought it would be romantic to pick me up and spin me around in his driveway. Unfortunately, it was not his most brilliant idea and he tripped and we fell right onto the concrete next to my car. Reader, he landed on top of me. Wife here. But about 3 weeks into dating, my husband invited me to a house party at his best friend's place. We were playing beer pong having fun. The other team is up. They toss the ball. I lean forward to try to block it. My now husband extends his hand out in front of me at the same time, catching the ball but at the same time hitting me in the eye and somehow pulling out 3/4 of my eyelashes. He felt terrible about it and tried to burn off his eyelashes in drunken sympathy. He hates when I bring it up, but I think it is the funniest story.